Welcome to Echoes of Legends. I'm Brian. This channel is dedicated to honoring unforgettable icons whose lives and achievements continue to inspire. We share heartfelt tributes, powerful stories, and lasting memories from film, music, sports, and beyond. Join us as we celebrate their legacy and ensure their influence echoes through generations to come. Ambrosia founding keyboardist Christopher North built his musical identity around subtle craftsmanship rather than spotlight attention. From the beginning of his career, he was drawn to layered keyboard textures and melodic expression, developing a style that blended classical sensitivity with contemporary rock influences. His approach to music emphasized feeling and atmosphere, qualities that would later become central to the sound he helped create, shaping the sound of Ambrosia. As a key member of Ambrosia, North played an important role in defining the band's early direction and emotional tone. His use of Hammond organ, piano, and rich keyboard arrangements added depth to the group's evolving style. These elements became especially recognizable in well-known songs like Biggest Part of Me and Holdin' On to Yesterday, where his playing helped shape the mood and emotional pull of the music. Rather than standing at the front, he contributed from within the arrangement, helping the band build a sound that was both polished and heartfelt. Musicianship and signature style North's strength as a musician came from his ability to enhance a song without overwhelming it. His keyboard work often carried a quiet intensity, supporting vocals and harmonies while adding emotional layers underneath. This balance of restraint and expression made his contributions essential to the band's identity. Fellow musicians often valued his steady presence and thoughtful approach to composition, which helped keep the group's sound cohesive and distinctive. Legacy and remembrance. Christopher North passed away at the age of 75, marking the end of a meaningful chapter in soft rock history. While he often worked outside the spotlight, his influence remains present in the music he helped shape. His legacy lives on through recordings that continue to connect with listeners, reflecting a musician whose work focused on emotion, detail, and lasting musical atmosphere. June Pointer was a key part of a sound that helped define pop and R&B across the 1970s and 1980s. As a member of the Pointer Sisters, she contributed to a blend of energy, harmony, and personality that made the group stand out in a crowded musical landscape. Her voice carried both brightness and emotion, helping give the group's biggest songs their lasting impact. Music that still moves people together, the group created hits that continue to resonate decades later, including Fire, He's So Shy, Jump, For My Love, and I'm So Excited. These weren't just chart successes. They became part of everyday life, heard in clubs, on the radio, and in homes around the world. June's contribution helped shape the energy and emotional lift that made these songs endure long after their release. A legacy beyond the spotlight. Behind the success, there was also a more human story, one shaped by the pressures of fame and the changes that come with time. June Pointer passed away at the age of 52, marking a quiet but significant moment in music history. Her death closed an important chapter for the Pointer Sisters, but her voice continues to live on through the recordings she helped create. Even now, her work remains tied to moments of joy, movement, and emotion, music that still finds new listeners and continues to carry the spirit she helped bring to it. Loretta Swit, born on November the 4th, 1937, became one of the most recognizable figures in television comedy through her defining role as Major Margaret Hot Lips Houlihan in MASH. What began as a character written with broad strokes gradually evolved into something far more layered, and much of that transformation came through Swit's performance. She brought a grounded presence to the screen, shaping the role into a complex portrayal of authority, emotion, and quiet resilience within the chaotic world of the series. A performance built on depth and balance, Sweet's acting stood out because she refused to let the character remain one-dimensional. In a series known for its sharp humor and satirical edge, she found a balance between comedy and emotional truth. Her portrayal revealed vulnerability beneath discipline, strength alongside sensitivity, and intelligence woven into every interaction. Over time, Margaret Houlihan became one of the most fully realized characters on television, reflecting both the writing of the show and Swit's ability to bring nuance to even the smallest moments. Her work helped elevate the series beyond comedy, giving it a lasting emotional weight that continues to resonate. A legacy beyond the screen. Outside of acting, Sweet was known for her dedication, professionalism, and compassion, particularly in her advocacy for animal welfare. She approached her life with the same sincerity she brought to her roles, focusing on causes that reflected her values. She passed away at the age of 87, leaving behind a legacy built on authenticity and emotional honesty. Her work continues to be remembered not just for its entertainment value, but for the humanity she brought to every performance, reminding audiences that even in comedy, depth and truth can leave the strongest impact. Phil Robertson was born on April the 24th, 1946. Long before public attention, he built his life around the outdoors, shaped by hunting, hard work, faith, and strong family values. These early experiences became the foundation of how he later presented himself to the world. Rise to television fame. He became widely known through the reality series Duck Dynasty. The show highlighted his family life and business, connecting with audiences who appreciated its simple humor and focus on everyday traditions. His straightforward personality made him a recognizable figure in American popular culture. Personality and values. What stood out most about Robertson was consistency. He carried the same beliefs and lifestyle on and off camera, often speaking in a direct, unfiltered way. For many viewers, he represented a grounded approach to life centered on family, faith, and personal conviction. Life beyond fame. Away from television, he remained closely tied to his roots in the outdoors and family-run work. His influence also continued through his children and the public discussions he inspired around values and tradition. Current status and legacy. Phil Robertson is still alive as of recent, widely available information. His legacy remains tied to his family, his role on television, and the lifestyle he consistently represented throughout his public life. Serena Williams stands as one of the most influential figures in modern sports, not only for what she won, but for how she changed expectations of excellence in tennis. Over her career, she secured 23 Grand Slam singles titles, placing her among the greatest athletes in history. She also spent more than 300 weeks as world number one and built a career defined by consistency, power, and adaptability across generations of competitors. Her success extended beyond singles, with Olympic medals and doubles achievements alongside her sister Venus Williams. Yet her legacy is not just statistical dominance. Serena redefined what strength, discipline, and mental resilience look like in women's sports. She became a symbol of endurance in a physically demanding and highly competitive environment, where maintaining success over decades is almost unheard of, making her impact far larger than any single trophy. Childhood in Compton and early pressure. Serena Williams grew up in Compton, California, a place shaped by economic struggle and social challenges. Her early environment was not built around comfort, but around survival and awareness. Noise, instability, and limited opportunities formed the background of her childhood, shaping how she viewed the world long before fame entered her life. In such surroundings, tennis was not initially a dream of luxury or fame, but a possible escape route. It offered structure in a chaotic environment and a chance for a different future. From a very young age, Serena learned discipline not through choice but necessity. The idea of consistency and focus became part of her daily life. While most children experience childhood with freedom and experimentation, her early years carried responsibility and direction, shaping her mindset toward effort, repetition, and long-term commitment far earlier than most athletes ever experience. The role of family and discipline. A major influence in Serena's life was her father, Richard Williams, who introduced a structured and highly disciplined training approach for both Serena and Venus. His vision was rooted in the belief that focused preparation could change the trajectory of their lives. Training sessions were intense and carefully planned, with little room for distraction or inconsistency. While this system created discipline and resilience, it also meant that childhood was closely tied to expectations and performance. Serena learned early that effort and outcomes were deeply connected and that progress required persistence regardless of circumstances. This environment shaped her ability to endure pressure and remain committed under demanding conditions. At the same time, it also meant she grew up with limited separation between personal life and athletic development, forming a mindset where improvement and responsibility were constant companions throughout her upbringing. Growing alongside Venus Williams, Serena's journey cannot be understood without Venus Williams, her older sister and earliest benchmark. Venus was the first to gain recognition in professional tennis, and in many ways, she opened the door for Serena's path. As Serena developed her skills, she lived both in admiration of and comparison with Venus. This dynamic created a unique emotional balance between inspiration and competition. They trained together, improved together, and eventually faced each other on the biggest stages in tennis. These matches were not ordinary rivalries. They carried emotional complexity because success for one often meant disappointment for the other. Despite competing at the highest level, their relationship remained rooted in family connection. Over time, both sisters learned to separate competition from personal bond, understanding that their shared journey was larger than individual results, even when outcomes carried emotional weight. Rise to dominance and public scrutiny. As Serena Williams rose to global dominance, her playing style redefined power in women's tennis. Her serve, athletic movement, and mental focus made her nearly unstoppable during peak years. However, with dominance came scrutiny. Every emotional expression on court was analyzed differently than those of her peers. At times, her intensity was misinterpreted rather than understood as competitive drive. As a black female athlete, she also faced layered public perception that added complexity to how her behavior and presence were received. Despite this, Serena continued to perform at the highest level, breaking records and setting new standards. Over time, she became both celebrated and heavily observed, carrying expectations that extended beyond sport. Her presence on court was not only about winning matches, but also about navigating how excellence is perceived when it challenges traditional norms. The hidden emotional and mental pressure. Behind Serena's success was a quieter reality shaped by constant mental pressure. The expectation to remain dominant created a cycle where winning was not just achievement, but responsibility. Each tournament carried the weight of public anticipation. This environment meant she often had to balance confidence with emotional control, even during difficult moments. Outside competition, the demand to maintain a strong public image added another layer of pressure. Over time, this created a life where emotional expression had to be carefully managed. While she appeared composed and powerful in public, the internal experience of maintaining that level of consistency was demanding. Serena learned to compartmentalize feelings in order to continue performing, developing a mental discipline that allowed her to function under sustained expectation, even when personal challenges or fatigue were present behind the scenes. Injuries and life-threatening health challenges. Throughout her career, Serena Williams faced significant physical challenges, including injuries that required surgeries and long recovery periods. One of the most serious moments in her life came after a medical complication involving blood clots following surgery in 2011. This situation required urgent care and marked a turning point in how she viewed physical vulnerability. It was a reminder that even the strongest athletes are not immune to serious health risks. Recovery required patience and careful management, and returning to competition after such an experience demanded both physical and mental strength. These challenges changed her relationship with her body, making her more aware of limits while still maintaining her competitive spirit. Rather than weakening her resolve, these experiences added depth to her understanding of endurance and reinforced the importance of health alongside performance. Motherhood and a difficult medical experience becoming a mother marked a profound shift in Serena Williams' life. The experience of childbirth was deeply personal, but also medically complex, requiring significant attention and care afterward. In the days following delivery, she experienced complications that required medical intervention and extended recovery. This period highlighted the importance of listening carefully to one's body, especially during postpartum recovery. It also showed how vulnerable even highly accomplished individuals can be within healthcare systems. After becoming a mother, Serena had to balance recovery with caring for her newborn child, which added emotional and physical demands during an already sensitive time. Despite the difficulties, this stage of her life also brought a new sense of purpose. Motherhood expanded her identity beyond sport, reshaping her priorities and deepening her understanding of strength in a different form. Marriage and personal stability. Serena Williams found stability in her marriage with Alexis Ohanian, which provided a supportive environment outside the pressures of professional sport. Unlike the competitive world she had long inhabited, this relationship offered emotional balance and understanding without performance-based expectations. In her personal life, she could express vulnerability without judgment, something that was often limited in her public career. This support system played an important role in helping her navigate both motherhood and continued competition. However, emotional healing is not immediate, and years of high-pressure living cannot be reversed quickly. While marriage brought comfort and grounding, Serena still carried the mental habits developed over decades of elite competition. Even so, this phase of her life represented a more stable emotional foundation compared to earlier years defined by constant external evaluation. Return to competition and growing realizations. After becoming a mother, Serena Williams returned to professional tennis with determination, but also with new physical and emotional realities. Her comeback was not just about competition, but about balancing identity, health, and family. She continued to compete at a high level, reaching major finals and remaining a strong presence in the sport. However, recovery and performance were no longer as straightforward as before. Each match required careful physical management, and expectations remained high despite changes in her circumstances. Over time, she began to recognize that sustaining the same intensity indefinitely was becoming increasingly difficult. This realization was not about decline, but about understanding long-term well-being. Her later career reflected a shift in perspective, where health, longevity, and personal priorities gradually became more central than continuous competition alone. Decision to step away from tennis. Serena Williams eventually made the decision to step away from professional tennis, not as a sudden ending, but as a thoughtful transition shaped by years of reflection. Her body had endured extensive physical demands, and she recognized the importance of preserving her long-term health and family life. This decision reflected maturity rather than defeat. She had already achieved nearly everything possible in her sport, and continuing at the same intensity would have required significant personal trade-offs. Leaving tennis allowed her to redirect her energy toward other aspects of life, including motherhood and personal growth. It also marked the end of a chapter defined by extraordinary discipline and achievement. Her departure was not about closing identity, but expanding it beyond the boundaries of professional sport. Legacy and human perspective. Serena Williams's legacy extends far beyond records and trophies. She represents a life shaped by discipline, resilience, and continuous adaptation under extraordinary pressure. Her journey shows how greatness often comes with unseen emotional and physical costs. At the same time, it highlights the importance of recognizing athletes as complete human beings rather than symbols of endless performance. Serena changed tennis by redefining power, athleticism, and mental strength, but she also showed the importance of knowing when to step back and prioritize well-being. Her story is not only about victory, but about endurance, growth, and eventual self-awareness. In the end, her impact remains both athletic and deeply human, reminding us that even the most dominant careers are lived by individuals who experience struggle, change, and the need for balance beyond achievement.